Hello everybody, thank you for joining me in this video. Today I'm coming to you from beautiful Rimrock, Arizona. It's about 20 miles outside of Sedona, Arizona. I found an amazing Airbnb here, and that's actually what I want to talk about in this video. Just moments ago, me and my really amazing host Dale were having this conversation about the Airbnb system and how, it's a rating system. So the guests rate the hosts rate the guests, and it kind of keeps the community honest in a sense. It kind of keeps it's self-policing in that way. And we were just talking about how for every 100 reviews, you're always going to get one negative review, no matter what. And I used to host an Airbnb myself back when I lived in Colorado, which feels like another life ago. I think it kind of was in some ways, in a lot of ways. But we were just having that conversation, and he was talking about how he does everything he can to provide an amazing experience for his guests. I mean, it's just gorgeous log cabin house and just a serene setting, just super peaceful, and the bed is very comfortable. I mean, you can tell he really goes to great lengths to provide an amazing experience. So he was talking about how it just really irks him and just angers him that he ever gets a negative review. And I think I had the similar experience when I was hosting my own in Colorado. And I feel like the best lesson we can take from these experiences where we feel like somebody has unjustly, projected negativity towards us, whether that's a bad Airbnb review, whether that's, a friend who betrays you that you thought you could trust, or someone you're in a relationship with, or whether it's a work situation that you're just feeling unempowered, disempowered constantly. Whatever the situation is that comes into your life that is challenging for you to deal with and brings up anger or frustration or fear even, I feel like the best question to ask to start with is, why did I attract this into my life? What is life bringing this person, bringing this circumstance into my life to teach me? Like, what is it about, for me, let's say in Colorado, if I got a negative Airbnb review, the question should have been, instead of getting mad and reacting, the question should have been, okay, I know that this is silly and that this doesn't make any sense and that these things that they're saying aren't even relatable to the truth of what the experience is, but what is this person coming into my life to teach me about myself? Is it that I need to learn patience? Are they coming into my life to teach me acceptance? Maybe they're coming into my life to teach me forgiveness. Or maybe in the case of, say, a job experience where you're feeling constantly belittled and maybe bullied, or maybe someone is just badgering you. Maybe the experience is you need to learn how to stand in your power, and you need to learn how to speak up for yourself. And that I think is the crux, that is the underlying lesson for any time someone is doing something that we perceive negative towards us. It's always, why did I attract this into my reality? And what am I supposed to be learning? What lesson is this coming into my life to teach me about myself and how I can grow and expand? And now, key distinction, and this is something I used to do all the time. It's very important that you don't blame yourself. You don't go, why did I attract this into my reality? I must be whatever you want to say. I must be filled with too much anger because I keep attracting situations that make me angry. I must be just so weak because I keep attracting people that want to just walk all over me, whether that's in friendships, relationships, or work relationships. Wow, there's some crazy flying bugs out here in the desert. But that's the key, is you don't want to blame yourself. You just want to take an objective viewpoint and just kind of in a detached way, just like, okay, this situation, this form of negativity keeps repeating. I keep coming into this same pattern, whether that's you keep attracting the same type of relationship that keeps falling apart for the same reason, or you keep attracting the same job dynamic that keeps you kind of unhappy and maybe uneasy every day when you go into work. I've had a lot of those, where I would just feel anxious every day at work, and coworkers would kind of like underhandedly talk down to me, and looking back, what I was supposed to be learning was to like stand in my power, speak my truth, and those type of things. But instead, I had a combative relationship with that pattern that kept arising, and I kind of had a victim mentality, and that kept me stuck in the same pattern. And that's the thing, is like when we get a bad Airbnb review, for this example, we don't want to look at it as like, oh, poor me, this is so unfair, this shouldn't have happened. And you know what, those things can feel true. And a lot of times the bad review is silly and bogus. But the more evolved way, the more mature way, the way to help yourself grow the most and to have this experience serve you, the way to really look at it is, okay, how is this serving me? How is this helping me grow? What is this bringing out of me that needs to be looked at and that needs to be seen more clearly? And you could ask yourself that in any negative situation that happens to you. Instead of looking at it as the victim of this shouldn't have happened to me, you can look at it as, okay, this did happen, so what is it about this situation with this friend who betrayed me, with this girlfriend or boyfriend who is acting in a way that doesn't make me feel good? What is it about my boss that maybe you always attract a boss who is mean and belittling to you and doesn't treat you with respect or something, just as an easy example. What is it about, it can be any circumstance with any type of person, with anything that you perceive as negative. Just ask yourself, like, why is this coming into my life, and what am I supposed to be learning from this? What is this trying to teach me about myself? And you'll notice, if you approach any circumstance where it's easy to become a victim, if you approach it with that empowered viewpoint of trying to learn and grow from it, you will learn and grow from it. And when you do honestly look at it with that empowered viewpoint, you start to see things more clearly. You start to see reality as it is more. And these patterns that once troubled you and kind of like haunted you and just kept coming up and repeating, what will happen is they'll start dissolving, because you start expanding beyond them. You start coming into the realizations that allow you to see things as they are. And what happens is you start to see why you attracted these negative patterns into your life. And because you're seeing them more clearly, because you're starting to ask the empowered questions, instead of being the victim, you're starting to become empowered. You're starting to see the beliefs within you that attract these patterns. And then when you can see these beliefs clearly, when you can see why you're attracting your reality so clearly, you can start dissolving those beliefs. And the way to wrap this up, and the way you dissolve a belief, in my experience, is you just simply have to observe it. You have to observe the belief in action. Simply shining your awareness on it, which means if you can observe and witness the belief, that means you're aware of it. When we're lost to a belief, we don't know why things are happening to us. You know what I mean? We're just kind of going through life, and we without any understanding or realizations, and that's called more of a victim mindset, because we just don't know. But when we can step back and see the belief playing out, that's when we can start dissolving it, and that's simply all that needs to happen. It starts with this. The first step of dissolving a belief is, after the event has happened, you look back on it, you can see, oh, that happened because of this. Interesting. I have this belief, and that's why that played out the way it did. The second step is you're actually in the middle of it. Maybe it's a conversation and you're being inauthentic, and you sense right away, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being so inauthentic right now. Why am I saying these things? And you catch yourself in the middle of it, and you're probably still going to keep talking, and you're going to keep going down that same pattern, but you're aware of it as you're doing it. That's the second step, and that's kind of a strange one if you've ever experienced yourself like just being totally inauthentic, or maybe saying a little white lie just to like try to make sure you don't hurt anyone's feelings, or to make sure you feel accepted, or that people will like you, so you kind of hold back your truth. And you'll notice in that moment it doesn't feel that good, and you'll still keep doing it, but you'll be aware of it. You'll be like, oh, this is not my truth, this is inauthentic. And that's the second step is you're aware of it as it's happening, but you still can't stop it. And that's okay. That's a good sign, actually, because you're aware of it. And then the third step is you're about to respond to someone in an inauthentic way, like you always have, that same pattern, but you have enough space now to where you see what you were about to do and you say no. You see that you have a choice. You have that space to where now you can see there's a choice. Do I want to go with that old pattern that has just created my life up until now? Or do I want something more? Do I want something more real, more authentic, and more based in the truth of who I am? And do I want to respond in a more empowered way? And then you'll have the awareness to say, let go of that pattern, the old pattern, and then you can respond from, I like to say, you can respond from your solar plexus. That's really where your power is, or your heart even. Those are the areas where the truth comes from, instead of those old mind patterns. So in that way, in those 3 steps, you've dissolved it, because in the first step, you didn't see it until after, but that's okay, that's great. It's a huge step. And you can see why everything transpired the way it did. You can see your patterns and why they're happening. Huge step. The second step is you are literally seeing it as it's happening, but you still don't have the awareness or the power to change it. But that's beautiful, because that's a huge step, because that's leading you to step 3, where you now have the space to where you can make the choice. And when you can make the choice, there it goes. You just let go of the old pattern, and you start speaking and acting from your truth. And then you start getting that reflection from the outside. Because, the outer reality is always a reflection of your inner reality. And if your inner reality is filled with these inauthentic patterns, then the outer reality is going to reflect that to you. And in that way, it's going to always be trying to wake you up. And the way reality wakes you up sometimes is quite painful. So that's really the lesson that I've learned today, and I wanted to share with you all. So on the beautiful southern stretch of my road trip here in Rimrock, Arizona, so happy to connect with you all from here, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Namaste.